All right.
Boom, boom.
Got a swig of that water before we get started. Community Beacon, people. Much love. It's Friday. It's a rainy Friday here in sunny South Florida. We're gonna had a little bit of some technical difficulties in getting started, but we are here. We're ready to go. That normally uh the technical difficulty normally comes before a great show. Although we have all our shows, if you ask me, I'm a little biased, might be great, but this is Mike Seville, your real estate guy here in Palm Beach, North Florida, Palm Beach County North. And of course, on the
Sir,
opposite end of the screen, oh, do we have a delay still or no? You still here?
I can hear you. I hear you
Okay.
loud and clear, brother. Loud and clear. I just want to make sure that you get your proper applause.
Okay. Is that what it was?
There it is.
Good to be here. Good to be
Yeah,
here.
that was
And
better.
then make sure you get yours as well. On the opposite end of the screen, we got my brother Joel Simmons of the Tenacity Foundation. Let's go. Let's get it started. Let's get it started. Where's the theme
All right.
music? Guys, we are here yet once again. We're talking about healthy. We have been talking about healthy for about 3 or 4 episodes now. Uh, Today it gets no different. We're jumping into healthy relationships. Last week it was body, which was an awesome show. Go back and check out Body, Healthy Body, what it's like to be healthy as we move to our next thing. Topic: healthy relationships. Oh, and it's spelled wrong. Please, Lord, forgive us. uh, but yeah, we're here, brother. How do you want to get started? Let's get into it.
Yeah, man. Definitely happy to be starting this episode here with you about healthy relationships. And today it's all about diving into different parts of a relationship, right? Whether it's the faith aspect of it, or the social aspect of it, or the close ties that bind, right? I see Mike's got the pictures of his boys in the background, and it's like, what is a healthy relationship? What is a practical health relationship? And from my point of view, what is a God fearing relationship, healthy relationship? And I think that exploring all these different subcategories is what gives us the whole piece of what a healthy relationship looks like from our perspective, from Mike's perspective, from my perspective. And it's not necessarily so much about agreeing, right? If you go back a few episodes, it's really about agency. It's about being aware, and it's about acknowledging that this is my healthy. This is where I am, and this is how I move forward. And I think that right there gives us the power to move forward and to be confident in what we are doing. Because a healthy relationship should be a relationship that is lived with confidence, right? Confidence, not ego, but confidence. So that's how I want to bring it in, brother. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Absolutely. Listen, how you do one thing is how you do everything. The brother also mentioned about where we are at within our awareness. And I've heard a brother say recently, he said, to be aware is to be alive. I'm like, that was and it wasn't just, it sounded good too, right? Like that's what caught my mind, that it resonated with me. I'm like, well, what does that mean? What does it mean to be aware is to be alive? Well, I think oftentimes we get caught up into that, just that comfortability. That's what our bodies are built for. Our bodies are built to be efficient and to be comfortable. That's why whenever you get into that uncomfortability, into a different, when you're changing, right, your body pushes back and be like, wait a minute, it goes into a little mode, right? It wants to continue doing the same thing over and over and over again. Um, but when you become aware of that, when you become aware of it, then you can start to acknowledge the changes, also acknowledge your body wanting to remain in that same spot, that things that they're comfortable with, and you can grow if that's what you decide to do, right? So I'm on it. Where do you want to start?
I'm gonna let you start it off today, man. I'm gonna follow your lead.
Absolutely. All right, perfect. Uh Relationships, right? So for me, and this is interesting because I'm going through this, not going through, I'm doing this body recomposition, right? If you caught me last week, I would say knee deep, but I'm more it's like whole body deep into figuring out, what makes my body tick, right? And what I go off of is I go off of universal principles. So it has to begin with the truth for me, right? So everything, and it has to go across all boards. There's the truth, and that's it, because it stands alone. Other than that, I can just be going, from one side to the next side, trying to figure out this person's perspective. This person, I just want the truth, and the truth has to be unbiased. So for me personally, when I start to look at the similar patterns with the relationship as it is to other people, as it is to the body, I started saying, okay, well, what are the similarities there for me, right? Like what are the four core things? What are not four, but what are the core things that I believe these things entail? And for me, it's also is to be able to, and this because it's about efficiency and scalability for me as well. I like to just categorize things, so whether we're talking about romantic relationships, or friendly relationships, relationships with yourself, to me, they all are going to compromise of a couple things, and it kind of doesn't change for me from day to day, right? It starts with just alignment, right? Like, am I aligned with this person? And alignment doesn't mean agreement, right? It just means I need to figure out where are we aligned. That's where I'm going to start from. So that for that reason, I can go into any place, right? I'm going into a mosque, I'm going into a temple, I'm going into a church, I'm going into a strip club, I'm going into a bar, I'm going to the shop, I'm going underneath the tree where they're drinking, and I just have to figure out, okay, where are we at? Like, there's certain things that we align with, and for me, if I'm dealing with a person, if it's a man, it's like, okay, we're men here, right? So it starts there for me. Um, then it goes into uh, what is the purpose of this relationship, right? So for me, relationships have to have, not for me, relationships have to have a purpose, right? And they do have a purpose. We may not You may not necessarily be aware of the purpose, but it's there, but you may not share it, right? So that's the next part that we're going to come to, is that once I figure out the purpose of a relationship, now I get to see what these expectations are, right? Relationships have There are expectations on this relationship. My standards are different from anyone else's standards. This is where the nuance comes in. This is where the uniqueness of the relationship happens, right? So what are my um what is the purpose of this relationship? And then it has to have some type of clarity, right? And that expectations, the communications, it comes from that clarity. And from that point on, for me personally, I can have a relationship with anybody just based on that alone. What about you, bro?
You said a lot there. You said a lot there. Yeah, you're kind of surprised when you brought up the strip club part. That kind of threw me off just a little bit right there. But I understood the gist of it, the juxt of it. Um, Healthy relationships. So I like that you use the word alignment, and I understand the framing point of agreement. I think that there definitely does need to be agreement, especially when dealing with um, animate personalities, right? Inanimate personalities, none needed. Um, None needed. Of course, my background and where I draw my reasoning from, my greatest reasoning from, is what I consider to be the greatest teacher ever that lived, right? The Bible. And I just draw it from there. One scripture says, how can two walk together except they agree? Um, Another one says, come now and let us reason together. And it's just, there's something about that. So in relationships, I believe that the type of agreement is not always, it's not always what we expect. Like there's an agreement to disagree, and there's an agreement for me to do what I do and you to do what you do. Healthy relationships, I believe, though, I think they still lay their bed in a lot of honesty. And you brought that up, truth, honest, honesty. And so whether it's my truth or your truth or his truth or her truth, honesty makes a huge difference, because in honesty we can find humility, right? Simply because someone is honest doesn't necessarily mean that they're right, but by them being honest communication, it gives us grounds to stand on. It gives us an opportunity to understand. So now honesty is the ability for an individual to tell or to speak and or live exactly as they believe. Honesty, to speak and or live exactly as they believe. And communication is the process of demonstrating what that means in characters, sounds, or actions, right? So it's somehow, some way, some shape, some form being able to show another person in a way that they can receive it and be in alignment with you, that they understand what you have communicated. And I believe that this creates the space free from judgment and manipulation, as long as whatever the parties are underneath the agreement that we're going to be honest and we're going to communicate. So the true self has this opportunity to just like show up. I pause to hear your words, bro.
Yeah, I guess the honesty is interesting. As you brought that up, and then you mentioned not necessarily right. So can you unpack that a little bit?
So somebody's honesty. So when I'm honest, it doesn't mean that I'm doing the right thing. It just means that I'm acknowledging what I'm doing. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's right, doesn't mean that it's wrong, without judgment being applied to it. Doesn't mean that what I'm saying is king, and it doesn't mean that what I'm saying is pawn. It just means that I'm saying it, and that this is my wholehearted belief. When I say the word belief, I mean belief as in the thing that I resonate with, right? So just for the hearers to understand, when I'm speaking about my belief, I'm not necessarily talking about my faith at this point in time. I'm saying these are the grounds that I stand on. This is my rationale. This is my world view. And this is how I'm communicating it with you. I'm not trying to manipulate you, and I'm not trying to downplay me. I'm not trying to judge you, and I'm not trying to put myself in the defendant's seat. All I'm saying is, this is as I know. That's it. Now, if it shows up as being a pathway that isn't the greatest or the best way of proceeding, I have the opportunity to make some adjustments, to pivot. But what I want you to know is that I'm not hiding something. I'm not speaking in disillusions. I'm not attempting to disrupt or to sow discord, but I'm just speaking as honestly as I know how. And I believe that in the midst of someone speaking honestly, now, granted, whoo, man, when people start speaking honestly, and there's a whole lot of other things that go along with this, right? Because when we start talking about the communication aspect of it, the honest aspect of it stands by itself. It just means that in my mind and in my heart, we're aligned, that we are going to speak honestly as one. But the communication piece is totally different because there's cadence, there's rhythm, there's tone, there's word use, there's analogies. There's so many other things that can be drawn from that can corrupt the communication, and the appearance of honesty can be lost. So the two are separate, but then when bringing them together, I believe that that the compounding effect can be very good. However, on the opposite end, right? Because there's like three different pieces to this puzzle when we're talking about communication. We're talking about the messenger, we're talking about the medium or the deliverance, and then we're talking about the receiver. And then even still, at the receiver, there is another point of reception, right? And then there's contemplation, and then there is the reverse effect of it. So there's a lot going through there, but there has to be something in there. There doesn't have to be. Never does it have to be. It's not necessarily absolutes. But I believe that there should be some type of, yeah. Like hold on, say that again, bro.
Can you hear me? Am I?
No, I just missed it. I don't know if you said gets to be or
Yeah, it gets to be. There gets to be is what I said. Yeah.
Opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So like me and Mike, and I always use us as an example, not because I need to, but because he's right there, right? And many of you all are watching behind the screen, and I'd love for you to pop up on the screen and say what you have to say, but he's right there. And so Mike and I don't always have to agree. Like we didn't agree when we first met. Like we were the opposite of agreement. We were disagreement. But we did have a agreement, and at least one, and that we united on that one. But we didn't always agree. We did align. We aligned to do one particular thing. And because of that alignment, we found agreement, right? But the thing is I knew when I showed up and I saw Mike that he was not, that he wasn't being untruthful, that he wasn't a liar, that he wasn't cultivating some type of deception. I knew that, even though there wasn't necessarily a true agreement, I knew that when I showed up in front of Michael Seville, that he was going to be X, Y, Z, and that I needed to approach him within that realm because that's who he was, and he wasn't going to sugarcoat nothing for me for no reason. I don't care what I am. He's not going to do it. He's going to communicate with me, and it's going to be real. That's honest. And some people can't take that type of honesty because of the way people they give that honesty. Like, and so here's the trick with honesty is that the agreement between him and I was he speaks to me honestly, I'm going to speak to him honestly, and that is our communication. What's going to be is going to be. And look at that, 15 years later, best friend, brother, my son, my children call him uncle.
Let me jump in there too, because
go ahead.
This is perfect to talk about this relationship, right? You and ours relationship, because everything the brother said was absolutely it. And then it goes back to what I was saying about this purpose, right? This purpose, this alignment, right? We came into alignment underneath this purpose. Okay, this is what we're searching for something, right? This is what we wanted. It was this, it was this brotherhood. We were seeking something, seeking the truth. Remember the truth? We spoke about that as well. We're seeking the truth, and the purpose aligned. So he came from a different place. The brother explains it all the time, and we had different upbringings, but we were able to align. And then as long as we had it was based upon that truth seeking, right? This brings up the point of like a principle based relationship. Like it's based upon principles. Like a lot of people say, yeah, we're gonna throw everything up against the wall and see what sticks. I'm gonna tell you how you can make yourself a little bit more accurate. Throw principles up against the wall, because if you're standing within your principle, like you can navigate most things as long as they're there. Man, go ahead, brother. I know I interrupted you, but I thought that was an awesome point.
No, you good, man. I want you to keep on continuing because you people need to hear the side that you're talking about right now and even a deeper perspective of it so they can hear both sides because that's what the relationship is about. It's not about one.
So this relationship, and now we about to jump into this because I'm feeling it. We're feeling it right now. The brother inspired me, and that's really what this thing is about. It's about inspiring, right, for deeper thought. Um, this is the beginning of a healthy relationship, right? And when you start off healthy in honesty, as the brother mentioned, and seeking the truth throughout it, right? Like we don't know what we don't know, right? Until we do know, right? And the information is presented to us. The brother spoke about the Bible. I think all of the holy books are important because they're all based on principle. But if it's based on this truth and this seeking, then we're gonna because the truth is only one way, right? There's not a bunch of there's different perspectives, right? But there's one truth. So it's based in that. That's how you start. Even though like if you saw us the first time, it was like, whoa, who is this guy, right? Like the brother looking at me like, man, who is this guy to talk to me like that? And I'm looking at the brother like, who is this guy that's coming in like this, right? And we and then and it's just like, okay, well, and now here we are, 15 years later, different perspectives, but still it's based, and that's based from a healthy thing. Now I'm a pull it back a little bit. I'm gonna pull it back because especially in the last what I've observed and seen in the last, however many years, probably since forever, but I can actually communicate it now, was that
Mm-hmm.
is that there's relationships that didn't start off like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It didn't start off honest. It started off with this is a representation of who I am, right? And this other person, whether it's whoever's being dishonest, one person dishonest, one person dishonest. And here's an interesting thing is that some people don't even know they're being dishonest. It kind of just unfolds because some people don't know who they really are. So now you take it even back. The brother talks about the relationships, and now we're gonna get into the spiritual section of it. Is that if you don't have that relationship with yourself, with the Most High, initially, like, and it's okay because most of us had to cultivate that, right? Or it had to be revealed to us. We had to dig deep into it. We had to be still and understand it, and so on and so forth. So we present this a different kind of way. I say most people, I'm talking about men. Like when you get up and you go out and we say we're fighting the system, or the system is this and the system is that, what we're actually saying is that what's actually happening is that you wake up and you're going against a narrative. There's a narrative that's out there. And once you understand and know yourself, right now you're looking at it, you're like, well, I'm not even a part of this narrative. I'll give you an example. Black men are terrible fathers, right? Like for those types of things to be in the atmosphere or in the consciousness, and you looking at a brother, and you're looking at two brothers. It just happen to be two brothers, 100% on this live that take fatherhood seriously, right? I'm not even going to get into the best father or the great father, whatever. We take it seriously. We take fatherhood seriously. And for that reason, we are attempting to master it. We become thinking people surrounding it. We're treating it differently. This is not the same. Mike Seville as a father today is not the same Michael Seville that was a father 5 years ago, 10 years ago. because I take it seriously. So because I take it seriously, I begin to master this thing, right? Because I take so now we got to talk about priority, how we prioritize our relationships. Because I take the relationship seriously with the brother on the other side, I prioritize it. Work on it, right? It could easily be like, man, screw you. You know what I mean? Like the first sign of things that we don't see eye to eye, man, you know what? Man, screw that brother, right? But a healthy relationship also asks you to what? For compassion. It asks you for patience, right? This is love. And when we start talking about love, which I hate because I don't like to quantify, you all know I'm like a reasoning guy, but love anticipates need. Right, so it's like, and this is not a novel idea. Shouts out to Nur, the brother Nuri Muhammad that spoke it, and he probably got it from the minister Farrakhan. Like it's like love anticipates, like that's a part of the love and the patience that's there. Man, I got to thinking about these relationships and past relationships, and it wasn't for lack of honesty, it wasn't for lack of truth that a lot of the relationships for me crumbled. It was for a lack of, on my part, patience, right? Like not having the patience or the compassion or giving grace to the other person, right? Because I'm always moving, I'm always mastering. But go ahead, brother. I know let's really jump into this and unpack it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, man, hitting on all cylinders right there when you started talking about patience and you started to dive into love. Brennan Brown said vulnerability is the birthplace of love, belonging, joy, courage,
Who
empathy,
was
and
that?
creativity. Brennan Brown.
Okay, yeah, I'm not familiar with that person.
Yeah. And so it's just like vulnerability. Okay. So when I brought up the whole piece about this honesty piece, like, and this honesty and truth, gosh, man, these things two align so well, right? But it's just like when you hear what Mike is saying right now, there is a certain level of vulnerability, both in the ear and in the tongue, right? Because agreements are not agreements are received and given, right? They're received and given. You don't battle for an agreement. It's not really, it's a false agreement. There's no honesty in it. Because when you battle for it, you actually have to destroy somebody in order to take the agreement from them. To make them sign the agreement, you have to destroy them on the battlefield. So it's not a true agreement. No, an agreement comes about when somebody is vulnerable enough to say, hey, listen, I disagree, but I will agree for some reason. And now when you hear stuff that Mike's talking about, compassion, patience, when you start hearing stuff like that coming up, this is reasoning. And I love that because that aligns with the first comment you said, Mike, when you were talking about whether it's spiritual or whether it's with a friend or whether it's with, you name all these different components or all these different styles and types of relationships, and how for you they were all like the same. They all, what works for one works for all. And there's some alignment in there, regardless of whether all of the viewers agree with that or not. That's not going to be the case. And that's not going to be the discussion for me, from my perspective. But there is an alignment there because, man, you got to take that time to actually get into this groove, right? You got to get into this groove. You have to focus, create a safe place for someone to be able to speak their truth, which is honesty. Right? When someone speaks their truth, that doesn't mean it is the truth. It means that they're having an honest communication as they know it. That's their belief as they know it. I love it. Mike, last night I was out with a group of friends last night, and we were just talking about the Lord and talking about our experiences, and people were speaking their truth. Now, here's the kicker. We had such a great time. Here's the kicker. most conversations, people are looking for validation within that conversation. They are looking for you to shake your head. Hey, I agree, I agree, I agree. But that ain't what it's all about, because how does iron sharpen iron if we all agree? If I'm just as sharp as you can't sharpen me. You cannot do it. It won't work. Somebody's got to be sharper at some given moment. And it doesn't have to be a always thing. But in order for you to get sharp, in order for me to be sharpened by Mike, he has to be sharper in something that we are discussing. Something. He's got to. Because that's the only way I'm going to be able to skill up. And if I don't allow myself to be vulnerable, I will not give him the opportunity to expose what his strength is. SWOT analysis. And even if he exposes his strength, because I'm not being vulnerable, I will disregard every single thing that he says and await my opportunity to communicate my piece, my aspect, my thought, my belief of the relationship. Therefore, I walk in and leave out the exact same man, and I do not benefit the relationship at all. Why? Because of those vulnerabilities. I did not take the time to actually hear, to receive, to consider, to digest, to formulate my own opinions, my own thoughts, and then to respectfully acknowledge the thoughts and the words that were given. When we do that, we create a space for healthy relationships to grow. And that's so important, right? So if I were to give out one tangible skill right now, I would say practice creating a space, prioritizing clear, authentic communication to develop authentic relationships. And I would say, what does that look like? That looks like a whole lot of hearing and a lot less talking.
I was gonna say shut it up. I was gonna say shut it up, but I don't have to beep. I can't blurp it out on this one. Like you just gotta shut it up, and you gotta take. You need to, man. This Nearly Fuller talks about this, and he talks about it specifically in regards to Black people, right? Black people, right? Especially in Western society. I don't know exactly, on the continent, but I can tell you a little bit about Western society. So whether it's colonialism or whether it's slavery, a lot of the similar issues have happened. And just through simple observation, me shutting up, one of the things he said that's the issue is that we're always attempting to show off. He said, we got to show off this information. We got to show what we know. He said, we wake up in the morning and say, how am I going to show off or let people know? Goes back to what the brother said. It goes back to, hold on. The door was not locked. You want to say hello? You want to say hi? He said, open the door.
What's going on, Paul?
Say hi, Uncle Joe.
You can't tell me that's not Michael Seville Jr. right
there. He said, open up the door. And the door was locked.
That's you, bro. That's you. Just wait.
I got two that's twice as great as me, and I'm excited about it right now. I'm excited about the both. I'm like, man, these two they're gonna overstep me. Nearly Fuller talks about the showing off, right? So I just want to stay in with that point in regards to that. And this is what Toastmasters was so important for me was about listening, right? The evaluation gave me more information than the speech did, right? So instead of me speaking, the evaluation was just as important. So super important for us to for us to hear, brother. Keep going. I'm right along with you. And I want to give these people what I call the relief doctrine. Like when the Lord, when the Most High speaks, I'm like, man, this is the relief doctrine coming through because we know this now, right? Like we're gaining this wisdom now, and you're tuning in, and you're like, yeah, if I just start off with this agreement, we spoke to her, and I start off in the truth, and and this, I can have fruit, I can continue, I can start to have fruitful relationships now, and I love to hear your perspective on it. Is I didn't start off that way, right? Like it didn't necessarily start off that way, and these are people that I really care for, people that mean something to me. I didn't necessarily start off that way, but I'm making this 180 now, right? I'm starting with this change now. How does someone who starts off with a relationship, or already started off with a relationship, now we're at this point? Or not to say that you necessarily didn't start off in the truth, but you've grown, right? Like if you've grown, if in the last 5-10 years, and you're like, they looking at you now like this is a whole different person. I don't know where he went. All of a sudden he just showed up, and and this is not the same guy. How do you grow with how do you deal with those people? I don't want to say grow with them, right?
Hmm. I love it, man. And I'm glad that you said with those people at the end, because it definitely helped clear up one of the thoughts in my mind, exterior relationship. And I think that you've mentioned it so many times. We've talked about it so many times in the community beacon. And that is self. It's self. And what do I mean by that? The first relationship is with self, right? We have to be aware of who we are. It's like, I need to know me. I need to know me. I need to be comfortable in this skin, right? I'm going to say something a little racy, but if I'm a black man, I need to be comfortable being a black man. If I'm a man that wears glasses, I need to be comfortable being a man that wears glasses, right? If I can't grow hair on my face, or I can grow hair on my face, I need to be comfortable with that. Like me as I am, not as I view other people looking at me. There's the difference. Because most people they can't be comfortable with their own self because they're too busy looking through the eyes of somebody else looking back at them. That's the wrong space, the wrong place. You don't even know what those people are thinking. We as people need to stop walking around acting as if we know what somebody else thinks about us. We don't know. We assume. There's an old saying about assuming, right? Just break down the word. That's all you got to do. Break down the word, and you'll see there's a message in the lesson, right? So it's like the first point of view is my personal point of view of myself. That's where it starts. Because when I get to the point where I am confident inside of my own skin, when I get to that point where I feel good about myself and I don't need, granted, there's so many people that love to throw this terminology around. I don't need nobody else. I don't need no wife. I don't need no husband. I don't need no friends. I don't need whatever. Fine. You don't need relationships inside of your life. You just stay right there. But here's the truth. Humans are designed to have relationships. We're designed that way. We're building blocks, one on each other. That's how creativity moves. So when I get to the point to bring this question to a close, this answer to a close, when I get confident about myself, it makes it easier for the second half. or for the actual answer to the question that I believe is the answer, which is every single day I start anew. I present myself honestly and faithfully. I am who I am, and I present myself at the highest standard that I can possibly be. With my skills in communication, I communicate the things that I believe are in me. So let's say let's say I'm having trouble with this water bottle. Let's say this water bottle is a person. Mr. Water Bottle doesn't trust me. So I will communicate to the water bottle, hey, listen, I've turned a leaf. I know that there are things that you didn't trust me on before, but I want you to know that I've been going through great lengths to set myself straight. If I need to apologize about something, I will. And remember, the apology is more for me because it's self-recognition, right? It's me alleviating it. I may not need to apologize for anything. I may not even apologize to the individual. Because there's a lot of ways around it. And the brother can tell you about that. He can tell you it will work. But the thing is that this helps them to sew themselves up as well as me. And then every single day I use my communication. Remember what I said about communication earlier? It's not just the words out of your mouth, right? You got to communicate your belief system through the way you talk and the way you walk, right? The things that you do in life. That's your true communication. I always like to use Jesus for an example because Jesus never said be a Christian. Never. You can go through all four of the Gospels. You'll never find it at all. Jesus didn't even quote that many scriptures, y'all. Preachers quoting scriptures and beating people over the head with Bibles. And Jesus only quoted scriptures to the scribes and the Pharisees. Read your Bible. Jesus lived a life. And the life that he lived made people want to live differently. And so if I'm in a position where the life that I may have been living underneath my guise or my truth or what I believed I was doing, and now I'm adopting, pivoting into a new style of life that I believe is higher and greater and more influential and that it will be more beneficial. The greatest thing that I can do is communicate that, not just by the words that I speak, but by the places I go, by the people I'm around, by the work that I do. And remember, when I say by the people I'm around, it doesn't mean that you can't be in certain areas. It just means that you're doing certain things. Maybe you're doing something differently than the people that are in that area. If there's some type of negativity, you're doing something different. Like have I been to the drug spot? Yeah, my son walked over there with me. We went right up to the guys that were selling, smoking. And we said, hey, man, we're giving out toys. Are your children available? Send them over here and we'll give them toys. And by the way, you come over there too because we got a plate of food. People respect that. People respect humanity. They respect compassion. They respect love. They respect honesty. That's the law of the streets. That's what I learned. Don't be fake. You'll get called out. There was an old saying, they say, they'll pull your skirt. What'd you say, brother?
Absolutely. That demonstration is something. We preaching, we teaching, and you're demonstrating. You can do all three, right? you can do all three. You should want to do all three. You don't preach something and you're not demonstrating it or teaching it. Don't teach it if you're not demonstrating. Like you that's almost like hypocritical. And not to say, I mean, we all have it's all with fitness because we are all human at the end of the day. right? Like that's what makes this so awesome is that we're human at the end of the day, and it's a journey, right? Um, the brother spoke on the communication part, right? And work on the communication with clarity, like just get better. If you met me once, I was just going, I was a man of a few words. It was what it was. And then I started noticing, okay, well, a person may not necessarily be receptive in this kind of way, right? They may not receive it in this kind of way. So now you got to throw in the EQ part of it, right? You have to throw in the compassionate part of it. And I'm just giving information, right? You got to kind of leave it up to the person. You can't, there's a difference between attempting to correct someone and attempting to change them, right?
Mm,
They're pretty similar, but one is more so of I'm forcing this to happen, right? I'm controlling. I need to control this person. How do I control them? Oh, if you don't do this, the money's gonna be this kind of way. You see it happen a lot in family court. I'm gonna tell you. They call it financial abuse, right? So the other person is like, uh, um, well, if you divorce me, that money's cut off, right? Or you do it to your kids. If you don't do what I tell you to do, you're cut off, right? We give them this kind of way of being, and it's not. It's like I just gotta change you by any means, and but if you correction because love. You get correction out of love too. A person loves a person that they correct, right? So there's a way of us showing. But if you do it through that demonstration, if it's not the first time I have the conversation with you, we'll use that same example the brother used to the brothers that might be on the corner. The first time the brother goes up to him, how I would do it. Oh yeah, we're doing this for the toy drive. Oh yeah, yeah. By the way, what's your name? This is sales too, right? Don't just jab jab right punch. Shout out to Gary V. Like or right hook. Like the first time I go, hey, buy a house from me. You say like, who is this guy? Like who is he? Like what is this about? No, the first time you give, and really you just keep giving, right? And then they start saying, well, what is this about? That's the demonstration. You learn that. I'm gonna go a little bit deep into marketing. This is just relationships, right? We're talking about relationships. So relationships with your client. Dean Jackson, my marketing coach. Shouts out to Dean. Heavy in the game. Heavy dude in the game. Dean said, and this is a paradigm shift, right? Dean said, okay, you're selling houses, right? Okay, cool. So you're attempting to get this client. So you got your buyer's agreement, which buyers have to sign agreements now, and the sellers have to start agreements now. He says, why don't you spend your first, like before they even start, you already start giving them value. Oh, here's how much your house is worth. Here's the houses around the street that sold. Here's what's going on. If you're ready to, whenever you're ready to sell, these are the things that are going to give you the best bang for your buck. Hey, I'm gonna tell you it was so cold. I said, okay, Dean, I'm gonna try it out, right? Even though you got all this information, right? If y'all listen to Alex, this is Alex Hormozzi's mentor. You know what I mean? One of Alex Hormozzi's mentor. He mentions him all the time. He says, so the first thing I did, a person, was interacting. I forget. I think she came in through an email or something. However, she came in through a Facebook ad, and she gave me some information. And the first thing I did was I sent out a video directly for this person. Right? This is what's going on in the housing market. These are the communities you're interested in. This is the personalized video that I'm sending out to this person. So really, it's a warm outreach because she kind of knew it was coming, but she didn't know who I was. But she gets the video. 3 to 5 minutes. That's all it takes. This person won't stop calling me and talking to me, right? Which is a good thing if you're in regards to your clients because she's trusting the information. But I already go to work for her, right? Like I'm already going. And he says treat everybody as a 5-star client until they tell you otherwise, right? They're disrespectful. They're this that, and I want to go back into this part in regards to how we start to prioritize some of these friendships as well. I mentioned that at the top, but I wanted to give some examples as to tangible ways of how you do it and how it can work for you. Um, I want to go back on what I asked the brother about. Oh, I'm in this relationship, or say this is your significant other. I've already started off one way, right? It was in dysfunction because I thought this was the way it was supposed to go. This is what TV told me. This is what the rom-coms told me. Billy Crystal, you got mail. Well, this is what the Notebook said. I don't know, whatever show wherever you got this information from. But now I've gotten this new information. I'm around people who are cultivating successful, long-standing relationships that lead to things. I'm looking at it and I'm like, this. So now I'm getting this information because success leaves clues. This is what it looks like to be successful. Joel already told me, right? Joel informed me. This is what leaders do, right? And so now I'm a man and I'm leading my house. This is what I need to do because Joel told me. But man, I'm looking at this young lady and that's not what she's used to, right?
Mm.
That's not what she. This is not what she used to. Man, Lord, she gonna snap back, or this is just different, right? We're entering to a different phase, and it's gonna hurt, right? This is not the easiest thing. I likened it to iodine saturation, right? Most of us are iodine deficient. If you go check out the iodine crisis. You'll learn all about it. Dr. Brownstein, Elizabeth Smart, so on and so forth. We're iodine deficient. So now we have to start to become, to have enough to become saturated with iodine, because that's what your thyroid uses. We have to start upping our levels of iodine. You don't have to do it. I'm just explaining to you something. I felt a lot better. That's all I'm going to tell you, my experience of it. So it gets worse before it gets better. Right? Because when you start to saturate yourself, you start to detox, right? Your body's not used to this thing. Just like this young lady, she's not used to the new you, right? She's not used to this person that all of a sudden is starting to do these certain things. And although they're positive things, you're seeing flashes of brilliance, like with iodine. All of a sudden you're waking up different with these things of clarity. But then there's moments when you start to detox your bromine, you start to detox your chloride, you start to detox the fluoride, all these halogens. You're detoxing, and when that detox comes, you're just like, "Whoa, I'm tired now." Like this is the negative effects. But you got to continue doing this for the next 3 to 6 months. You have to continue to be consistent and demonstrate this for the person. And this is not to be perfect. I'm not talking about being perfect when we're talking about demonstrating. We're not saying for the next 6 months, I'm the perfect husband or man, right? Because as I'm learning this information, I'm also tripping over my own feet. I'm going in the gym and the workouts aren't as, are different because I'm not starting from dysfunction. I'm starting from functional, and functional makes it a little bit different. I may start to sweat more. I may start to lose my grip. My strength may go down because my body's also doing this. Is your internal. It's an inside out job. Your internal things are doing some things that your body's not used to. Remember, I said your body wants to be efficient, right? It's not used to this, so it's fighting the back a little bit, right? And it's working and it's seeing new things. But you just got to stick through it. You just got to have this. You just got to keep showing up and forget the talking, because that's great. In your teaching, and yeah, you definitely want to teach because you want this person to come along with you, but you're demonstrating it, right? And you're gonna have to start to forgive yourself. And now here's the hardest part, because you're changing all that. You got to forgive the other person too, because that other person is making mistakes, right? But as long as this is how I do it. Do what you want. Shouts out to Dre, because he really showed me something. Shout out to Dre Taylor. He really showed me something. He said, he looked at it, the woman that's in his life, and he said, I'm not gonna leave you as long as you are able, like I can continue teaching you. You have to stick, like you're gonna have to leave me, essentially. That's what he said. He said, because when I accept you, when I have accountability, I'm accepting everything that comes along with you. And for me to leave you is to say, as a man, like your problems are too big enough for me, which really means I'm being lazy, right? Like I'm being lazy. We're gonna continue this thing, but I'm getting bigger too, right? I'm getting big. That's what Dre say. Dre say it's big. So if I decide to leave it, and I've decided that your problems are too big for me, but it's not. But if I'm a man and I'm thinking big, the problems aren't going to be too much for me. But you can leave. You can leave. but this is a whole different way, and I'm teaching you, and I'm demonstrating you, and I'm bringing you along. Like that's what it takes. We talk about this black community. I said it a long time ago. I don't know how much I believed it, and not and really how much I really wanted to do it, right? Because this takes some swallowing of the so-called pride and ego that you got going on, right? I said there's these people that are, there's this thing. We're making this adjustment in regards to our roles and responsibilities as men and as women, so on and so forth. I said at some point in time, one group. All right, I'm watching you go. At some point in time, one group, go to that one. At some point in time, one group is going to have compassion for the other. One group is going to have grace for the other. Who's going to be the bigger group? Give me 1 second, brother.
Yeah, man. Well, I love it, y'all. I love it. While he leaves off with that, the compassion, one having compassion one for the other, it's about growing together in relationships and the accountability and the empowerment that we supply, right? That needs to be there. And I'd like to make a point is that focus, the focus on self is a focus that will help everybody, because part of that is, what am I doing to make this relationship work? Am I providing everything that I possibly can provide for my relationship to be fruitful? And if the answer is no, I need to go back to the drawing board and figure out what it is that I'm not supplying. And I need to make an adjustment, because it's hard for me to say that the relationship does not work when I have not given 100%. That's a challenge. I haven't done that. Now, if I gave 100% based off of my understanding, and yet I'm in a relationship where there still is something that's coming up, making me think that maybe I did not give 100%, then I might need to go and seek out some type of coaching, some type of assistance, or whatever. But I was just diving in a little bit deeper into, the growing together aspect of it, and the accountability aspect of it, and the empowerment. I never even touched on the empowerment, but I was just saying, just going off of what you were talking about. So go ahead and continue where you left off with the growth piece.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned empowerment, because that's it. I think when we speak, this is to empower you, right? Empower you, be empowered by this information, not to detract and say, "Oh man, I gotta." Nah, we're living anyways, man. Just empower yourself and just take a look at it. Like that's all you could do is you just take a look at it and say, and this is the brother said, if it fits, then it ships. Is that what it is?
That's
Right?
right. It's the
So
ships.
so you take it in, you take it on, and you hold it and you say, does this make sense? And you take it in phases, right? Going back to this iodine, this saturation, this is not an overnight thing,
Right.
right? This 3 to 6 months of I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to take 90 days. I'm going to figure
Mm.
out what my baseline is. This is where it starts to, this is relationship. I mean, think about it. Like, think about it. The brother just mentioned about taking accountability and responsibility. He's used the word agency. They pay attention to that word that he uses, like having agency. So I'm taking 90 days, and I'm not big on time. I'm saying it for you because I don't. The way that I look at time is different, right? Because I'm more so about focus and effort. Because you can get it all done as mentally, in a weekend or something, right? But I'm telling you to just take your time, whatever it is, so you can put it in 90-day increments. For the first 90 days, I'm going to see where I'm at. What does that look like? I'm checking in with myself. Like, what is this? And I'm not being judgmental. What are these biases about? Like, what is this? what's this thing about? Like, what this makes up me, right? And I'm accepting, like, this makes up me. Well, what's oftentimes what we find when you get into the stillness of it is like you're not who you thought you were, right? Like, like you were taking the highlight reels, right? You taking the highlight reels. The Instagram is in your own life. Like, oh man, I did awesome on this Tuesday, and that Tuesday you thought that was your entire life, right? That was your entire life. When you actually start to take stock, you start to say, man, I had one good day out of 30. What is that
Oh,
about? Right? I had 5 good days out of 30. Look at your job. I had because work relationships. I was at this job and I felt fulfilled 1 day out of the 30 days of the month. You got to look at that. Write it down, man. I was fulfilled on Tuesday, and then you see how it accumulates, right? So oftentimes we're surprised at where we actually are. Like, where are we? This goes back to flow. This goes back to habits. This goes back to the baseline. This is my baseline. This is not where I want to be. Okay, this is the first. We looked at that over a certain amount of time. We established that baseline. Okay, now these are things I'm going to do better, right? And at the same time, you're communicating it and you're demonstrating it. This does wonders for yourself because you're putting money in that bank, right? You're putting money in your trust bank. You're trusting yourself, your thought process. These things are moving, and look what it does for the other person. Because just because you decided to change doesn't mean that person is going to up and change, right? You got to think about that. That person's not overnight, and when they do decide to change, they have a different rhythm, right? So they get a chance to figure out for themselves. That person need to figure out what they got going on, and you got to figure out what you got going on. That person needs a relationship with themselves just as much as you need a relationship with yourself. That person needs a relationship with the Most High, just like you need a relationship with the Most High. God bless the dead, my mother. I'm gonna let the brother take it, and not even my mother, because we all love our mothers. I'm talking about my grandma. Shouts out to my grandma, because I can be even more or less biased about my grandma. We all got our feelings about our mothers and our fathers. I can be less biased when I look a little bit above them, right? Because this is and it shows the legacy of these people. Because there was one point in time when this is news to me, right? This is the last couple of years where my grandma and my grandfather split. Y'all know how much I love my grandfather. I've spoken about him 1,000 times. That is the man for me, right? Right. That's the guy, right? My role model. And there was a time when they split, right? Because he was, there comes times in relationship it's not perfect. I wish I could say they had the perfect relationship, but apparently they didn't, right? They didn't. I didn't know, right? I just found out, but this is what's going on. So they split, and it was him splitting based upon his principles, and her splitting based upon what she felt was her principles, right? Whatever the situation was, right? And it just was that way. And he went off and he stood on his principles, and it's interesting. My father did the same thing, right? So they went off and they stood on their principles. This is because men, it may not. The brother said it earlier, and I'm not here to pass judgment on anybody. It may not be right. I don't even think about right or wrong. I'm just talking about what is, and it's based on this principle. The thing that I looked at my grandma was she could have went and she could have probably found another person. She could have did this. She actually came to America. She was involved in her church, and people within the church were telling her like, "Don't worry about him. He's in Jamaica. You don't worry about him. You just do you," kind of deal. But because she was principle based, and she wasn't worried about what he was doing in Jamaica. She was worried about her relationship and her duty, right? When they took vows, she had a duty to uphold whatever it was, his legacy. Essentially, that's what I feel like. I feel like when a woman takes you on, she's saying that I really believe in your mission, and I'm contributing to your legacy, right? This is almost a real oversimplified version of what a helpmeet is. That's a whole different conversation. I know we don't have that much time, but it was like, I'm going to spend more time being the best woman I can be, right? And I'm not watching him. It's not about this petty back and forth, like, I'm trying to get him back. We got a new saying now where they say, I got to get my lick back. It wasn't about getting my lick back. It was about me getting right with my creator, with myself and my family and this legacy. That's I'm always going to keep my mind on that thing. Similarly to, and I love this about my father now, is it's similar to that way as well. It's like although they did, it was this principle based thing, but I can't watch this this young lady. I'm not going tit for tat with no woman, right? I'm not going, and not to say that they're lesser than, but I'm not trying to out woman a woman. you know, you ever got into a situation where you just having a conversation with somebody and they just get to over talking you or something? I don't go back and forth because to me that's not just principle based. I'm too busy attempting to be the best Mike. You can't beat me in being the best Mike. It's impossible, right? I can't beat a woman in being the best woman. It's impossible. Right. So I'm not even thinking on that. I'm thinking about this mission. And if we can go back to that, like that's my great and what happens? She ends up bringing him back over here and having this beautiful legacy of a family, right? To the point to where I look at both of them, I'm just like, whoa, this is a different kind of situation for these people to have this, right? I have uncles that aren't of my grandmother, but she took care of them. She actually filed for them to come over here. Aunts and uncles, right? Family. That's just the way she was being. She was being the best Joyce Seville, right? My uncle was being the best Titus Seville, right? So like this is how it goes. But you got to have that relationship within yourself and with the Most High, that mission. You dig into that, and you have that grace and that compassion. All right, but
I like it. I
I'm
like
good.
it. I mean, you really packed it up, put a bow on it at the very end. So, I mean, I totally agree with that. You know, I believe that you should have your relationship with the Most High. You should have that relationship with yourself. And I believe when that is aligned, when those relationships are solid, the relationships you have with others will fall right in place because you're not going to attempt to be in a relationship with someone that's outside. I mean, we didn't even get into boundaries, but at this point in time, you should have established boundaries, guardrails. And when you have to cross a boundary to get in deep into a relationship and you find that you are off of the pathway that you know you're supposed to be on, it's easier to see I need to depart
Mm-hmm.
from this relationship. Uh, a lot of times we talked about this almost 4 years ago, getting grounded. A lot of times people are not grounded. They don't know who they are. They have no idea. They don't know what they're meant to be. They don't know which way they're going. And they go out and they find someone just like themselves. And everybody's trying to be the leader in the middle of the woods and don't know the difference between the tree or the forest. Hey, go to the left. That's the right way. Well, what makes you think? Because I know. Oh, that's enough, huh? Well, go to the right then. Well, why would I go to the right? Well, because I know.
Mm.
And then they say, oh, that's enough, is it? Yeah. And you're stuck. And both of you may be wrong. Oh, man. When you're in these relationships, though, because I know we're closing it on up and we're growing together, and you've taken that time to get clarity inside of yourself and who you are, you communicate these things. Don't let the other person live in darkness while you're changing your life. There may not even be a whole lot of change on the outside, but you're changing on the inside. You're reading the books, you're watching the podcast, you're getting in different groups. You join the group over here, you join the group over there, you're changing your circles, you're trying to absorb something different in every place you can. Your conversation is going to change, and the person you're with is not going to understand that conversation.
Mm.
So have a conversation about the conversation, right? Don't just bring the brand new conversation up. No, have a conversation about your change so that they understand when the new conversation steps in, they know where it's coming from. It's not from oblivion. Communication, honest communication. Just be honest. Hey, I'm working on myself. And if they come back with some snap and some nasty stuff, sure don't look like it. You know, you got you got to take that with a grain of salt, right? Because just before you started making that change, that was probably your own response to yourself or them. Because that was the reason why you were together, right? So don't be so quick. Don't be so quick to judge how they're judging you when you just changed. You're a baby in it.
Mm,
You're a baby in your change. You don't have no time behind this.
mm,
It's fresh. It's like going and buying a new pair of white sneaks. Yeah. You got a new pair of white sneakers and you wear them every day because they new, they fresh. And then you go outside when it's raining and they come back dirty. And then everybody is looking at you, waiting for you to get your white sneakers dirty. That's what I'm getting at.
mm. Jesus.
They know it's going to happen because white sneakers get dirty. They know it's going to happen. And maybe it won't this time, but you got to understand. You got to understand. Give it some time. Give them space for tea. Give the person that you are forming or have formed a relationship space for tea. Tea. Time, effort, and energy. You got to give them space so they can grow. They need some time to accept the new you, some time to develop a new them. They need to see your effort. They need to see your effort in this change that you're producing consistently. They need to see your energy change, your vibe, your flow inside the room. Give them space for tea. And just remember, you're doing it for yourself and not for them. That's why you give them space for it, but you don't make them drink that tea. Just give them space. Like the old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So that's all you're doing. Just show them where it's a place to drink. Show them where the teacup is at.
Mm.
That's it. Sit down, drink some yourself. Get yourself some time, some energy, some effort into what you're doing. And watch how the change happens. Because this is one thing I guarantee. If you take the time and you focus your energy and effort into the betterment of yourself without judgment on anybody else, your main focus, what radiates out of you will begin to make a new world outside of you. What radiates from inside of you will begin to make a new world outside of you. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. Go drink some tea. That's
I
all I
love it.
got.
I love it. That last thing, because it just reminded me, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said they asked him a question. I want to say it was Malcolm who asked him, and he said he asked Malcolm a question, and gave him, it was rhetorical. He says, "How do you get someone to to clean out their cup, right? It's a dirty cup," and I'm paraphrasing it. He said, "You of water. Stop drinking the dirty water." He says, "Show them a clean glass of water. Like that's it. That's that demonstration. You're not as you could talk to them about it. You could do whatever, but when you show them that clean glass of water, and now here's for you, when you show them the clean glass of water, now if they decide not to drink it, that's on them.
It's on
All
them.
right, that's on them. All right, guys, listen. Time well spent, healthy relationships. Friday, Community Beacon. My brother Joel Simmons, Mike Seville. We love you. We will see you. Oh, any comments, engage with the information, please put it in there. Like, subscribe, wherever you're at, and all that other good YouTube stuff. Probably should have said it at the beginning. But we love you. We'll see you next week. Peace.